Alrighty, we're live. Welcome everyone to the CyberSec show. My name is DC, and today we're joined by StudioSec or Sec Studio. I'm not too sure which one it is. I usually just call you Caleb, but yeah, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It either works, either works. I kind of confused everybody with the Twitter handle because it had to be Sec Studio. So
right,
yeah,
okay, so that's what it's all from. Okay. Tell us all a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, so I've been working in cybersecurity it's 2022, so I'm having to like readjust. I haven't paid attention to the timestamps or anything since I graduated college with a degree in cybersecurity back in May 2020, and then jumped right in. And so I've been working pretty much entirely so far on the blue team side. Right now I'm in it as a consultant, and let's see. Prior to that, of course, I was in college from Missouri, now in the on the East Coast of the U.S. And yeah, just grinding it out. I started my channel back in August of 2020, just to kind of help me retain some of the Security Plus stuff that I'd learned. I'd noticed as time was going on, and as I was digging into some of the more technical and intermediate and advanced stuff at work, I was kind of enough that I was just pulling it on demand, right? And so I wanted to kind of I feel like I learned best by watching things and seeing it, and so I wanted to make videos to kind of remind myself. And I thought, well, heck, if I'm gonna do this,
Oh, you've lagged.
I mean, just kind
of
hearing it. Oh, did you lose me?
Yep, I think so. I don't know if it was my computer because it has been lagging a bit, but yeah, there was a sec, just the last bit there, where you were saying about going back to the Security Plus and some of the content in that.
Yeah, I was kind of losing some of it, so I wanted to kind of go back and rehash it and make videos to kind of remind myself of the content. And then I figured, if I'm gonna do that, then I may as well, post it on YouTube so other people can kind of learn it as well. And then I just kind of kept going, and I'm posting more as I learn more. I'm kind of trying to cover a lot of the fundamental stuff right now before I dive into some of the more intermediate and advanced stuff that I've been learning. I'm wanting to kind of post some more offensive content, and then some more defensive content. But yeah, that's me so far.
Nice, man. So you were saying you're at uni. Were you working while you were at uni, or?
I did. So I had internships, but I was also doing ROTC, which was kind of a full-time job on itself.
Right. Yeah.
And so I did internships over the summers, doing one was a help desk job, one was a data entry job, and then one was just getting to work with a large, well-known SIEM. And I think that's really kind of the one that did it for me, that helped me get my first job, was getting familiarized with that SIEM. And
yeah, right. Was that perchance Splunk?
It may or may not have been. I can neither confirm nor deny, but there is a 95% chance that is a solid guess.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Right. So, I guess apart from uni, you did the Security Plus. Did you have a look at any other certifications, or did you kind of want to go in sort of light on? What was the procedure to getting the job then?
Yeah. I definitely took a look at some other certifications. There's a ISACA CSX Fundamentals certification that I took back in 2016. That's even, I get, it's way more low level than Security Plus. I feel that kind of gives you the very base foundation, and Security Plus is a mile wide and a foot thick. It's a
yeah, let's be honest. Yeah, it's a big one.
It's big.
Yeah, but it is a good certification, I reckon, especially as an all-rounder when you're just getting started, to get an understanding of everything, I guess. Which is that's why I sort of recommend it a lot, is because it is one of those certs that's sort of all-encompassing and helpful to get started with. So Yeah, that's cool, man. That's an interesting journey. So straight out of uni, pretty much already working, and then straight in. So what do you reckon was like the main thing on your resume or CV that stood out to your employer as like
Yeah,
the thing that they hired you for? Apart from, I mean, your personality is definitely, top notch. Apart from that, yeah.
well, I appreciate it. I feel like this is a good one, and I feel like it kind of goes hand. It's kind of tied. I feel like for me, it's like the degree is a good thing, and I'm not gonna bash the university degree, like especially if folks are already like in uni doing that. I mean, definitely keep after it. I feel like the Security Plus is really one of those things that kind of got me over the hump, just because it was like I paid for that and did it on my own, and so I feel like that just kind of that was it kind of helped tie it all together, and it actually ironically built on some of the stuff that I had learned at university, a lot of the stuff we hadn't covered. And then also I think it was that internship with the SEAM. I really think having that kind of hands-on experience and getting to be able to do some of the more technical work, even though it wasn't like super technical, I want to say, but just being at least familiar with it. So, once I was able to jump on my first job, it wasn't deer in headlights completely. I had at least some familiarity with some things.
Yeah, right. How did you land that internship? Because that must have been a pretty sought after internship. Was that part of your degree, or was it like you applied for it and got it type thing?
Yeah, I just kind of applied for it and got it, honestly. That was
nice.
that summer
awesome.
was a really busy summer. I had like a month-long training, like also for ROTC. So like I was in Kentucky, like in the woods, like for like, oh, how long was that? That was like a 2-week stint, I think, or like a week and a half stint. It was like 11 days. No, how long was that? No, it was about 2 weeks that we were like in the woods, and like I was like very focused on like doing that crap. And then like last couple days, I hadn't like turned my phone on a lot. Like I would like just a little bit to like text my girlfriend at the time, now wife. No. Were we engaged by then? Yeah, we were engaged by then.
Congratulations.
Thanks. But and congratulations to you as well on your
Thank you.
recent marriage. That's awesome.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you.
But
In the
yeah,
woods.
so I checked my email one day, and I started like getting like confirmation on the internship, and I was like, oh shoot, this just got really busy. So yeah, it was just kind of complete. I want to say complete chance, but I kind of like will recommend to people if they're looking for internships and jobs, even just apply anyway. Worst case scenario, it's you're already kind of prepared for it. But best case scenario, you kind of get blown out of the water, and it's cool. You get an internship that you didn't really think that you were going to get.
Hell yeah. That's yeah, I mean, every shot you don't take is one you miss, quoting Michael Jordan. And I mean it's pretty much true in everything. Not just, applying for jobs and things like that, but yeah, for anyone, by the way, in the chat who's sitting around lurking, watching the stream, please do throw in any questions you have, and I'll try to read them all out at the end, so we can get through them and have a little discussion. Back to the discussion though. I'm kind of interested. This is a question I ask in every stream, just because I think it's like one of the more interesting questions. But what was the moment for you where you thought, yeah, cybersecurity is the thing I want to do. This is exactly what I want to do, and this is going to be my passion going forward.
This is a good one. Yeah. I love this question. I'd probably say high school.
Right.
Honestly, I'm a huge like foreign policy and like international politics nerd, so I kind of wanted to go like the poli-sci route. But someone recommended to like go to school for like a more technical trade. I could learn poli-sci just on my own, and I'm glad that he recommended that, just at least for me, because then I kind of started to explore some more technical tasks and stuff like that, and that got me into the rabbit hole of cybersecurity. And my dad actually, he teaches cybersecurity, so
right. Okay.
that also was a huge influence and help. I can't lie about that. But it kind of went from being like, oh yeah, that's just something like my dad does, to this might actually be something that I could do too. And
Yeah.
so he kind of walked me through like hacking my first virtual machine. It was like hacking like an old version of Iceweasel, and I was like, I have no clue what just happened. That's pretty neat. We just took a screenshot using this virtual machine, and like even at the time, I was like having a hard time conceptualizing what had just happened. But
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
smart.
I think that it just kind of like helped, I guess, guide me into that. Because it's you know, if you like game theory, I feel like cybersecurity is a good field for you.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people coming in now are sort of finding their passion out of doing CTFs and those sort of war game type things where they're like gamified hacking basically.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, it's a great way to learn and get passionate about stuff. I know way back, there was no real like CTF things going around, so I was pretty big on home labs, and I had a lot of fun with a bunch of home labs. I used to have this like old Dell rack server thing that was sitting in my lounge room. It was loud as hell and used a lot of electricity, so I didn't use it too much. But back when I was doing networking, I had that as like my media server thing at home and a bunch of switches and all that stuff. And that was kind of how I found, I guess, my passion to get into networking at least. But it was also there to learn from, because I mean there wasn't much learning to be done at work. Like there was the work that I learnt from, obviously, but a lot of the stuff I was just sort of thrown into, and they're like, "Yep, off you go, do it, have fun." So yeah, that's it's an interesting theory there to sort of learn from your dad as well. That's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
my parents work in accounting, so I didn't learn, and I'm terrible at maths. So yeah, I mean, yeah, massive disappointments there, but yeah,
Well,
no
I'm terrible at
accounting for
math
me.
too, so it was kind of one of those things. Like, I feel like my dad's way better at math than I am. So I'd like ask some like question about programming, and he just kind of like explain it, and I was like, yeah, no idea what you just said.
That's gold. So I know you've kind of already answered this question, but what's your favorite piece of educational content that you've gone through and completed, or not completed, that you thought was like the best learning route so far? And that could be like a course at uni, or like a certificate, or something that you did on your own that you feel like was the best, I don't know, the best education piece that you had.
Yeah, I'd say it would have to be probably the hardest was discrete structures.
Oh god. Yeah.
Um, I don't know, like it's called so many different things in different schools, so I'm not. I
Yeah, they called it
don't even know
discrete
how to say it.
mathematics when I was doing my CS degree, but same shit, different smell, basically. But you've
Yeah,
lagged out again, I think. Is it my internet
it's
or
like the semester. Uh-oh,
no?
you there?
I think you're good. Yep, you're good. Okay, I
Okay.
think my internet's playing up. Damn Australian
Oh
internet.
man.
It's
Dang.
famously
I
bad.
don't
Yeah.
know. It could be mine too. My internet, it gets kind of buggy, for like just really randomly. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
yeah,
yeah.
no. So I took like a Python class the semester before, and I was like familiar enough that like I kind of was able to like stay afloat. There were definitely some concepts that I didn't quite understand, especially in how they were rooted in math. I didn't have the like logic foundation down. So go to discrete structures, and that class was so hard. The midterm I got a D. My like grade for the and like 85% I think of the total grade was like your midterm and your final. So like having a D in the midterm was like, shoot, this is a wake up call.
Yeah.
And I was like having such a hard time, so just kind of like put my head down. I was meeting with the professor like just about every week, and I ended up doing pretty okay. But I feel like I took a Java class the following semester, and it was almost like it was a complete like 180 shift. Like I was able, like the logic finally made sense because I had like it that so, like I didn't realize at the time that that was giving me a lot of like, well, actually I did, because I remember sitting in class saying like, oh, this makes so much sense. And then like and then in Java, we learned something that was like, yeah, okay, like I have notes still from my class, like or from discrete structures, like that makes so much sense. I feel like it just completely shifted my understanding of like machine logic, and it really helped me to kind of move forward and have some more confidence in some of the technical stuff. Because before that, my confidence in technical stuff with like networking or programming or cyber, like all of it, it was zero. And then discrete structures kind of gave a bit more of like a logic foundation, and yeah, it just connected a whole lot of dots for me.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, a bit of a 180 switch there, I guess. Pretty interesting. For all the people in the chat who are saying your voice is not coming through, it is. It's just one of the internets here is lagging. So sorry about that, but there's nothing I can do about it now. What's this isn't one of the questions that I had as a one of my run sheet questions, my cheat sheet. But what's your point of view on remote jobs in cybersecurity? I saw this one pop up in the chat feed, and it kind of got me thinking, because I was thinking like, do you mean remote jobs as in you're working in one country for a company that's in another country, or do you mean like, are you just saying like you have a job in say the US and you live in the US and you have a remote job? I think there's a very important separation there between the reality and the maybe the expectation. But I don't know, what's your point of view on remote jobs?
Yeah, I can't really speak to like working in one country when the company's based in another, because I don't have really any experience with that. But with working like remote, like not in the office,
Yeah.
my whole, with the exception of the internships, obviously, like I graduated in the pandemic, like whenever it was just starting, so my entire career has been remote. And that I had some elements in like my internships were all in person. Um, it
So you
so I
work
feel like
from home at the moment?
huh?
You work from home at the moment, or
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yeah.
nice, cool.
Yeah, it's great. Honestly, I love it. And I think I can kind of see some pros and cons to it. But I think there are a lot of upside, for like the employee, I think, in my opinion, because it's like
I
you
agree.
get greater flexibility. You don't have to, like, the time that you're spending commuting to the office, you can spend, I mean, doing anything else. Like my wife and I are able to go to the gym together, and that's quite nice.
Yeah.
And and I mean, traffic where we're at is horrendous. So if I had to like spend hours on hours every day in that every day, like that would be draining. But you know, I feel like remote work it's definitely doable. As far as productivity, it's a lot of self-regulation.
Yeah.
You kind of gotta, govern yourself there. And I'm certainly not the example of perfection, I don't think, in that regard. But it's just one of those disciplines that kind of keep working on. Some days are certainly better than others, but as long as like you're getting the job done, and you're constantly learning, it's remote work can
For
be
sure.
fantastic, I think.
I think that's it, yeah. And I mean, I haven't had a lot of remote work in the last, or like since the pandemic thing happened, to be completely honest. Because, I mean, there has been a few instances, but even when it's remote, I'm usually still asked to go into our head office and work remotely for the clients that don't want anyone there. Because I think that's like an MSP design thing. So even though they say like, yeah, you can do remote stuff, but yeah, I mean, the majority of the work is still, going out and visiting those clients face to face. And I can understand why. I mean, I would prefer, and I could definitely do it from home. I mean, I have a better setup at home than I do in any office that I've worked in. But I mean, yeah, I can understand why the employer sort of wants me in there in face to face, which is fair enough. But I think for the I think the majority of the question that I get asked here about is there a remote working opportunity? It's usually from people who are outside of, say, the US or Australia or wherever, where they're applying for the job and they're looking for remote jobs there. And I would say to that question that honestly, there's not a lot in that way, because I mean, there's like tax laws, there's employment laws. You can hire someone as a freelancer or a contractor and do it that way, but why would they do that when they can employ someone who's in the country that they want someone in, who's, you know, in the same time zone and all of those factors as well. There's no good reason to employ externally remotely, unless that person is an exceptional talent. And that's the tricky thing as well, is that I don't think a lot of people would know if you are an exceptional talent, because they won't take the risk, because they don't have to be brutally honest. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on the whole remote working thing. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to bang on about remote work too much, because I'll just go down a rabbit hole of,
I feel like clearances, I feel like to kind of build off what you were saying, clearances can certainly play a role in it as well. Like a lot of, especially if you're wanting, or especially like if a job requires a clearance, like then it's completely out of the question.
Yeah, because you need to be a citizen of that country to get the clearance to, So yeah, there is that as well. So for any of the newcomers coming into cybersecurity or IT as an industry as a whole, what advice do you have for those guys and girls, or whatever's, jumping into the industry?
Yeah, just try not to get discouraged. It can be a tough field, certainly at times, but kind of remember those points that lit the fire, and got you excited about the field. Because those moments didn't go anywhere. They're still around. And ultimately what we're all trying to do is replicate those moments organically. So and understand what caused, if like CTF, if a CTF is what, got you excited about cybersecurity, then how can you replicate the success that you had at the CTF? What are the things that you can learn to continue to have success? If it's, like playing around, like we were talking about Splunk earlier, if you really enjoy Splunk, understanding how Splunk works and how to, work with data models and stuff like that, that's definitely going to really help. And, it's a huge learning process. Everybody's in the exact same position. Like, regardless of job title, we're all kind of, I want to say bobbing on water, but we're definitely all trying to learn, because this industry moves. Yeah, I mean, it certainly feels like it, right?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, sometimes it is a bit of sink or swim, but
it moves at the speed of light. I mean, this field moves so quickly. Already, we weren't even talking about Web3 whenever I graduated. So, already I'm kind of seeing,
I think
a huge, evolutional
again.
shift in how people... No!
Are you good? You back again?
Yep. Am I back?
Okay. Yeah, yep, you're good. That was a short one.
We should call this DC and StudioSec fight the internet.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I might rename the stream after that. Probably get more clicks.
Right? Yeah, the internet's going down now. Yeah. But I mean, it certainly feels like, it's sink or swim. I totally agree. We're already kind of seeing a lot of fundamental shifts in the way people do things on the internet, and how finance is done on the internet. If you're looking at how Web3 is arrayed, and it's what that means for cybersecurity, and even think about the cloud. The cloud's been a topic for a while, right? But I mean, that's not going anywhere, and that's still if you're wanting to break into cybersecurity, the cloud can be a phenomenal avenue of approach, because everybody to some degree is going to use the cloud in some manner. So having some sort of a background or understanding on what that is, I mean, that could be for you kind of like what the sim was for me. So
yeah, I think so, yeah. And I think also targeting some of the growth areas is a way to get in there maybe faster, or as a smoother transition, I know at the moment over here, AppSec is pretty big. It's growing really fast. It's probably one of the ones that most recruiters ask me if I know anyone who's doing AppSec. Can you get them in? I want them for an interview type thing. But then on the same token, there's also a lot of people who are focusing on, like you said, cloud. And they're saying we want cloud security engineers. We want people who are, really, really good at, I don't know, for example, Microsoft 365 and a little bit of AWS. We want those people to come in and harden the systems or perform some sort of vulnerability assessment on those systems. And I know that, I've seen a fair amount of growth in that area recently. What sort of growth areas have you sort of seen in your geographical area? Because I'm sure it's probably a little bit the same, but maybe some differences.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the same. I think for sure. Cloud's always a big one, I think, and definitely AppSec. I'm seeing more and more of AppSec, but
it's blowing up.
Cloud's certainly been like a huge friction point that more and more like small companies, I think, are starting to like develop an understanding for how it could affect how it could positively help their business. So I think that's kind of like one of the big elements, because like of course the big companies were going to use it, but like how can like the mom and pop shop leverage the cloud, and like how could you help them do that if you're a consultant or whatever. So
yeah, definitely. I've actually, another one I just thought of that I saw a lot of posts come up on, I think it was Seek I was looking the other day, was digital forensics in like police force and federal police type places. I've seen that popping up a lot recently, which is surprising because they're usually the quiet ones.
This is one of those things that I've been seeing a lot where, and I'm a fan of it, is seeing like more public facing, like government shops, wherever side that they're at least here in the US. I mean, again, like I can't speak for Australia, right? But in the US, like the Department of Homeland Security put like a ton of money down for like, I can't remember if it was like 100 or 200,000 cybersecurity jobs.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, like a huge number of cyber. Yeah, legit. And so and like it's a huge priority. They like just passed this infrastructure bill, and cybersecurity is a huge part of it. So and man, I mean, getting like the career set up, like getting like a start in government can be a great way to do that, because you'll learn a lot. If clearances, a lot of the people in the private sector like to see someone with a clearance. I don't know why, frankly, but
because they don't want to pay for it, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's certainly one of the valid reasons. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they're quite expensive over here. I don't know what they cost in the US, but a clearance here is expensive. And it's a lengthy process as well, and the employer is supposed to, well, they have to sponsor you for that if there's a requirement for it. But if you can find someone who already has like a NV1 or NV2 or just a negative vetting clearances, then I mean, they're pretty much instantly going to get employed over someone who doesn't, because it's going to save them like roughly $30,000. Which is, I mean, it's a lot of money. Who has 30, like no one's going into a job spending 30 grand on their own clearance, because they can't get it because you have to be sponsored by someone who's in a partnership with the ACSC or whatever it's called in the US. And then it's just not going to happen. So and that's kind of another, it's a bit of a segue, but with people getting jobs straight out of uni, which is possible. I mean, you did it. A lot of other people do it, and that's great. But for some people, it doesn't seem to be possible, or they keep applying. And I just wanted to touch on this one because it is something that gets asked quite often, and I thought I'd bring it up again. Which is that there are other jobs out there that you can then transition into a cybersecurity role later, and some of them they cross over a bit as well. So things like network security, or even like sysadmin jobs. depending on the size of the organization, sometimes sysadmin is basically the everything of IT. So that includes security and networking and, doing all your virtual machines and cloud and whatever else that there is. So it's, I mean, there's so many different things in the IT umbrella that then fall down to the different parts of IT that has their own separate thing. Like there's programming, which you could then get into software development or AppSec or whatever, and then there's all your database stuff, which you can do lots of things with databasing. You could do data analysis, and all of the cybersecurity things that fall off databasing. You could do networking and then go into network penetration testing or firewall management or whatever. I mean, there's really no limit to jumping around. And if help desk is the job that you get as your first job, I don't discount the help desk guys, because those guys are legends. I mean, they know everything, and they have to deal with people, which is terrible. So, I mean, and that's the other thing as well. Like once you sort of get into a job in IT anything, I feel like a lot of the time people don't want to have to deal with the end user, but in a lot of cases, the reality is you do. And that's something that I think doesn't really get escaped from. But I don't know, what's your sort of thoughts on dealing with end users? Is that something you have to do much? I would guess probably not a lot in your position, but probably still a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, not too much now. If you're more on like the back end side, then that I would say luckily no, but also it can be kind of fun. To kind of build on your point with like help desk and sysadmin, I mean, like help desk is like often like your first line of defense, so they definitely are doing like some security tasks as well. Oh, yeah. But yeah, for me, like with I feel like the further back you get on I guess the network diagram, and the further away from the end user you are, obviously and logically the less contact you'll have with the end user. But I mean, even then, it's sometimes people need a service to be up. Sometimes you'll just end up, you can't. I agree. I don't think you can really like totally eliminate that from your routine.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, I'm just going to go through some of these questions because I've gone through all of my random thoughts so far. So let's have a look who's asking questions. We got one here from Amit Singh. He says, is the CEH practical given the same priority as CEH ANSI? I am not a massive fan of the CEH, to be completely either of them. But yeah, I mean, it still pops up on job advertisements. So yeah, I mean, if it's something you want to do and it's required by most of the jobs that you're applying for, then I would say it's worthwhile. As far as like weighing the two against each other, kind of hard. But yeah, I don't know. What do you reckon about the CEH practical?
I haven't really goofed around too much with the CEH practical, to be honest. My understanding is, there are certainly more hands-on practical exams out there. But that being said, it's still, the CEH is still listed on at least here in the U.S. for like government jobs, like a very valid and used certification. So, I mean, if the goal of the certification is to get the job, there's a certification to get a job. So, yeah. Sometimes it's just playing the game.
Yeah, that's exactly my thoughts. Another question here from Rymac. Welcome back, dude. Question is, what essential skills are required to get into a blue team of any private and or government organization? I'll let you answer that one, seeing as you're working a blue team.
Oh man, teamwork, and being able to like communicate. That's key. It can be a lot of fun, honestly. It can be pretty fun, especially like, in those situations where something is going on. It's kind of good. Am I out again?
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh, good. Okay.
Like a split second that time. Yeah.
we're so
The
on
battle
edge right now.
continues. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. Communication and teamwork are absolutely huge. Especially whenever you have teams where like every team member has like different disciplines or functionalities that they're good at, and you'll want to like kick a case around the team a little bit to kind of get people's feedback on things. Yeah, being able to like properly communicate the problem and communicate kind of the direction that everybody wants to take the case to. Yeah, I think that's absolutely essential.
I would add perseverance in there as well. As a, I mean, it's kind of a soft skill that applies to a lot of things, but communication I think is the biggest one there, and teamwork, because you need the teamwork to then be able to communicate whatever the risk is to. I mean, potentially in your role, you would be communicating those risks that are found to someone in a risk committee or a GRC type role. And yeah, getting the message across is pretty important. I mean, that's a huge part of the job, really.
I want to kind of circle back on that actually, because you remind me of another point, and this kind of circles back to our previous thread on talking to the end user. Because if you're, you may not be dealing with clients necessarily, but you will be dealing with, probably way less technical colleagues that might, be like the ones that forwarded the ticket or whatever the event to you. And so being able to explain like the security expectations and also explaining the problem and kind of walking them through, like, if you have zero experience with like computers or cybersecurity, then like something like a I don't know, malware detonating on your computer, that could be pretty scary. You're like, oh crap, I don't like it, but I mean, if the malware is like crap malware and nothing happened, it's probably important to communicate to them. It's okay. Like, it's a good, thanks for, it's a feedback loop.
Everything is going to be all right.
Yeah. And not making people feel like the world's about to end and I guess blowing the problem up, I guess. Communication can just be so important and speaking in their language, because, they don't have the same, like, it's like if like, say you're like talking to a doctor and you tried like communicating like they just kind of communicated. I've had this where like they just kind of like share like in medical jargon, and it's like, I have no basis to understand. I cannot decode what you're saying right now. It's like try to find like a shared language and use that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because actually one of the, like with the doctor story there, because way back I was working as a senior sysadmin. I was the only sysadmin there, but I mean, they titled it senior sysadmin. But anyway, beside the point, the IT manager was actually a nurse, and I mean, her side job was as the IT manager, and getting some of the points across for things that needed to change took some delicate wordsmithing, I could say. So yeah, I mean, getting the point across to those non-technical in-house people or contacts that you're talking to is it's a pretty big one, I think. Next question was from Kevin Lopez. The question is the CYSA Plus and Pentest Plus good enough to get an entry-level job? Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, are those the only certifications you're going to get? And don't make it. I know that sounded like I'm saying like, oh, you need to get more certs than that. I'm curious if you're thinking of getting other certifications as well, so I could potentially say if there's a different cert to get. It is a little bit confusing though, getting a CYSA Plus and then the complete opposite side Pentest Plus. I feel like you're trying to spray and pray on both blue and red team roles, whereas I think it's a better idea personally. I mean, anyone can disagree with me here. To target one specific role, but yeah, I don't know. What's your thoughts on getting a CYSA Plus and a Pentest Plus for entry level? I guess entry level pen testing or entry level security analyst roles.
Yeah, and I feel like actually that last point you brought up is a good point on what is entry level. Like, entry level for what? I feel like for just like generic entry level like cybersecurity role, like blue team, like probably CYSA plus would be a great way to go. But you know, for pen test plus, again, it's there's not like the practical portion. It's like pen and paper, right?
Yeah,
It'll give you like a good academic understanding on pen testing. I can't speak to if surely out there are companies that would be like, okay, you got the pen test plus, let's go, and then they might pick you up for like an entry level. So like there's certainly, you know, don't there are always exceptions to everything, right?
of course. Yeah,
But yeah, that's a lot of certifications for entry level. Don't burn out and spend a lot of money. Because a lot you might be able to get one of the you might get the entry level role, and then the company might pay for the other, and
yeah,
so you might be able to save some money there and get your foot in the door for that next jump.
yeah. I would say I would say that the majority of people that I've seen get into cybersecurity with one of those certs, either CYSA plus or Pentest plus, I haven't seen anyone get into an entry level job with a Pentest plus. I have seen heaps of people get in with an OSCP though. On the flip side though, I've seen a lot of people get jobs with a CYSA plus, especially like smaller MSPs who are focusing on building a security team. I've seen that happen quite a few times over the last year, I'd say. Yeah, 2021 was a pretty big year for the CYSA plus, I think, as far as the people I've talked to. But yeah. Next question is from Jai Kapoor. Sorry if I've said your name wrong. And the question is, I'm a beginner in this field, and from courses I got a lot of theoretical knowledge, but now I am confused where to start for practical knowledge and skills. I'll do a shout out here. I'll only do one in this whole thing. I have a side thing called the Safer Internet Project, where we go to companies and give them a vulnerability assessment. What we then do is have the members of that program shadow myself and Gareth Claassen doing the penetration testing. And once you've completed a bunch of learning modules on there, they're just targeted at mostly web app pen testing. So once you've completed all of those, you can become a verified member, and you can actually perform those pen tests alongside us. Instead of just watching us do it, you can join in. The reason we created that is because we wanted to give that actual hands-on experience and day-to-day life of like, this is basically what it's like performing a vulnerability assessment. And this is how you write a report, and this is how it's going to be communicated. But some of them are pretty fun. Like this week, we've got one coming up which has Wi-Fi hacking in it, which is, that's different. We haven't done one of those yet in that program. There's the web app pen test, which is, pretty much the same as all the other ones go. And there's also phishing and social engineering built into that one as well, which is super fun. That's an option if you want to gain some practical hands-on experience. The website's saferinternetproject.com. There are plenty of other options as well. There is internships, which are great for, literally real life, you're actually doing the job experience, which is good. I've seen a couple of people volunteer, usually like a couple of hours in an afternoon after their uni classes at different managed service providers. They love it because they're all about billable hours. And if they don't have to pay someone for the billable hour that they're getting paid for, it's like bonza for that. It's just an absolute prize. So a lot of places will take you up on that, and potentially it removes the need for them to train you and then give you a job in doing whatever it is that's in that job. So, that's another option. Another good one that I could randomly think of is home labs. You can build a system that's a replication of an enterprise system, and You can break it, you can rebuild it, you get to understand what virtual machines are, virtual NICs, segregating networks, DMZs, all of it, the whole thing. You can learn it all by just doing it. And like, you could do it on Raspberry Pis if you want to go budget. If you want to go super budget, you could probably run it up on your computer like I do. But just run up a VirtualBox or VMware or whatever it is you want. You can do it in the cloud on a 30-day trial. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different options there to do that sort of stuff. So take a pick. Can while I'm looking through these questions, can you think of any other hands-on ways to learn cybersecurity?
Yeah, I mean, Home Lab's a great one. Home Lab's fantastic. I'm a huge fan of TryHackMe. They have a lot of like free labs that you can use that they'll tie like the fundamental concept that like you've learned, or they'll teach you the fundamental concept. But then they also have like the practical, like I guess labs, and they've got both offense and defense, and they've got like networking, like they've got. Learning like different like Linux and Windows, and there's tons of walkthroughs on YouTube, that you can use to kind of like unjam yourself if you're getting stuck, or to kind of complement, what you're learning along the way. I'm a huge fan of TryHackMe. I think that's a great way to get some practical, and you don't have to spool up the lab itself. It's browser based, so that's a huge kicker.
That's it, yeah. Unless you want to run your own scripts, in which case, do it yourself.
But you can attach your VM to their environment too, so you can
really?
You can build.
Is that a new thing? I haven't been on there for a while now.
Yeah, I think you need to have like the subscription to do it, but you can get like the OpenVPN cert, and then so like I'll spool up my Kali, and then basically just like build up a bunch of scripts and stuff that I'm using in these labs, and it's great practice, and it's great to familiarize yourself with your own Kali than the one that they supply to you as well.
Yeah, TryHackMe is sick. I remember I used to do the Kick of the Hill things quite often. It was just so much, but when it was new, I mean, now it's not so new and they've kind of been done. But those were super fun, and that was if you're just jumping in, they are a great way to learn. If you want to jump on with your friends. Or someone you're studying with, or people you randomly meet on Discord servers. There's a never-ending list of CTF Discord servers out there, and even on the TryHackMe one, actually, there's like voice channels where you can join in and chat with the person that you're playing a King of the Hill with, and they might be really good at it. They might be fresh to it, just like you are, and I mean, that would be a great way to build your network and also learn some stuff, which is super cool. So yeah, TryHackMe, check it out, definitely. Next question is from Samuel Oblica, and the question is, can you tell me please which language is needed? I'm roughly translating the words here. For cybersecurity beginner, is it Python and C++? Okay, so wait, which language is required for a cybersecurity beginner? I don't know if there's any requirement as such for any entry-level cybersecurity job, to be completely honest. If I was going to pick any language to go with though, based on how versatile it is, I would probably go with Python, as well as, I don't know if you would call Bash a language, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, I would probably go with some Bash scripting as well. So yeah, just basic, like really basic Bash scripting and Python. But I mean, Java's good as well. C, they're all good. My preference is just Python because I find it easier. But yeah, I don't know. What do you reckon, man?
I say Python. Let's just ban the other language. Like, let's just go only Python. I like Python. Bash is good too. But yeah, I mean, I completely, definitely not required though. So don't feel like it's a make or break. If you don't know Python, it's not gonna happen. Like, you're good.
Exactly. Yeah. When I first got my first ever cybersecurity job, I knew a little bit about Python from doing stuff with Nexus switches. So I didn't know a lot about it, to be completely honest. I still don't know a lot about it. I'm not much of a programmer at all.
Mhm.
But it was something I ended up picking up just for some automation of like spitting out reports from various things like devices or whatnot, or systems. So yeah, that's the only reason I've sort of gone with it, is because it kind of works with everything. But yeah. Next question is from Air Production Films, and the question is, hey DC, do you know anything about working in cybercrime for the AFP, which is the Australian Federal Police, for everyone watching abroad, and what that's like? I've actually got a friend who works for the AFP in their digital forensics thing, and I was just talking to him the other day, trying to get his they send you like a technical exam before you get the job, because I really want to get my hands on that technical exam so I can pick it apart and try and help some people who are interested in what sort of questions would be asked. And but yeah, he likes it. I mean, he's been there for 3 years now, maybe 4. And yeah, I used to work with him way back at an MSP. And then I joined a government agency in cybersecurity, and he joined the AFP. And yeah, we still keep in touch, which is cool. But yeah, he likes it. I mean, he loves it. He works mostly night shift stuff though on their SOC team, which is interesting because he was originally in like forensics and stuff, and I think he got into the role of GRC role. So it's kind of changed over the years, as is the life of cybersecurity or IT in general. Don't expect your position to stay the same, because it probably won't. But yeah, I mean, it's a good job. So yeah, I'll go on to the next. I don't expect you to know anything about the AFP, so I won't bother asking.
Funny enough, I was in the AFP. No, what?
That's good. Next question is from Rymac. He says, is there a blue team specific certification? If so, can you name some? The security blue team one, I think it's called SBTL1, is a good one for getting your feet into it. But apart from that, I would probably focus on the Splunk fundamentals. You can do like you used to be able to do the whole Splunk fundamentals one for free, but I don't think they do that anymore. You can do part of it for free, and it looks, if you complete the whole thing, and I don't think it's hugely expensive. I think it's like $30 to complete it, 30 US. So it's like $1 million Australian dollars. But yeah, you can. Yeah, I mean that's a good certification to get, because it looks good on your resume, and B, it's used pretty much everywhere. And most SIEMs or most places that have a SIEM that isn't Splunk, it's probably pretty closely related to Splunk, if not a almost direct copy. So yeah, I don't know. But what do you reckon about blue team certifications?
Yeah, this one's such a hard one because it's not like the offensive side where there's like a million certifications and they're like general enough that like it kind of covers it, you know? Like I feel like if you get like the OSCP, it's like it's not focusing on a particular tool, right? I guess Burp has like, you know, their own cert. But like I feel like blue team, it kind of like you said, like it splits into like specific tools and stuff like that. Like Splunk. I think Splunk is a great way to go. I couldn't agree more with that. Like, and their courses are pretty good. Their documentation is stellar. Their documentation is fantastic. So
it's expensive for a reason, the product, and it's
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw this meme the other day. Yeah. Have you seen that meme about Cisco? It's like Cisco is offering to buy it for $20 billion or something. It's like, is that just their annual renewal fee?
Legit.
Yeah.
I saw that and legit, like I laughed out loud. Like whenever you find a meme, like actually laugh out loud, like you know it's a good one.
It is properly expensive though. Like it's ridiculously expensive. But anyway, it's not me paying for it. I mean, it's the organizations that pay for it. So, say la vie. Next question was from, I saw it just before it popped. Oh, here it is. It's from Nut. Cool name, man. Question is, can I get a job with just the OSCP? I'm going to say yes, because I know someone who did get a job with just an OSCP. He hadn't finished uni. He was studying. So I'll give you some pre. He was studying a CS degree. But yeah, he did his OSCP about midway through and ended up getting a job out of that, which is pretty cool. So yes, it's possible. Is it likely? I don't know. Yeah, maybe, I guess. Like it depends on a lot of different things, like luck in one point, how much that company wants someone who has no OSCP, are they specifically looking for people with OSCPs, or do they just want pen testers? I know CyberSec over here in Australia have a requirement that all of their pen testers have an OSCP. Well, I think it's a requirement. Don't quote me on that. Because last time they called me, they said, "Hey, do you know anyone who has an OSCP?" I was like, "Oh, I know, a few people have OSCPs, but they all have jobs." And they're like, "We want them. We want OSCPs." And I was like, "That's bizarre, but okay." So yeah, there is that. What do you reckon? Do you reckon you can get a job with just an OSCP?
Surely, right? Like, I mean, I think if I remember, I don't know if you know the XSS rat,
Yep.
but
he's
he
coming
got
on here actually in a few weeks.
Oh, legit?
Yeah.
Tell him I say hey, and I'll say hey in the chat. But yeah, I think he got like a pen testing job with just the OSCP, if I remember correctly. And then there's somebody who I interviewed on a long time ago. Her name is Cyrose. She actually didn't even have an OSCP yet, but she applied to like 300 different places. And, oh, freaked me out. But that in the corner, I was not expecting it. It's like motion sensing, so the ghost probably turned it on. But anyway, she applied to like 300 different jobs, and she got a pen testing job right out, like no OSCP or anything. So I'm wondering if part of it, and now she's like going for the OSCP. So like now I wonder if it really just comes down to enumeration. Like surely you can get one with just an OSCP. Surely. I mean, that's such a huge I guess hurdle to do. Like if you've already done it, like that's a huge accomplishment. And surely some company out there will see that and be like, bet, come hack for us.
Yeah. I agree. It's a possibility, I'd say. Next question is from NZ Extreme. Question is, what cloud certs would you recommend for entry level? Would Azure be more beneficial over AWS? To answer the second part of that question, I think it depends entirely on the company that you're applying for a job at, because it's not always like one or the other. Sometimes they use both AWS and Azure. But I mean, I see over here, I see a lot more Azure than AWS, and I don't know if that's just because of the types of businesses that I work with, that they've been sold on Azure or the 365 suite of products. But yeah, I mean, the AWS certified solutions architect is a pretty cool cert. It's definitely not entry level, I wouldn't say, but it is. I haven't done it, but I've seen the coursework from a guy who's doing it, and I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of other certs out there. There is like an entry level AWS cloud security cert. I can't remember the name of it. I'm sure someone will tell me in the chat what it is, but yeah, I don't know. What do you reckon about cloud certs for entry level?
Yeah, I think this is kind of similar to like the Splunk cert with SIMs, right? Like once you learn one, the logic kind of carries over pretty seamlessly with the other. I feel like it's the same with AWS versus Azure. Obviously, they're not the same thing, but they're similar enough that like you could get certified in one and be familiar enough, at least at like a theory level, to be able to pick up the other like pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
So I agree with your point on just kind of like whatever your company is, which probably both. So, I guess then, default to the supervisor and be like, which is more relevant for the role in this team. They could probably help out.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll answer one last question. I can see a couple of duplicate questions, so I'm going to skip over them. This one's from, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say your name wrong. Surakanti Mandel. The question is, if I do a course as a starter in CyberSec and currently in available courses, some part is outdated. So I'll dissect that. Some parts of courses are outdated. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's because things change so fast. Second part of that question. So if I finish a course and then proceed towards better processes, is it worth it? Tech changes fast. Yes, tech changes fast, and it's still worth. Like, if you start something, please finish it, because it's really that piece of paper that you get at the end that says you've completed that certification. That's what you're paying for. I mean, the coursework is great, and having the knowledge is good, and chasing knowledge over a certification is always something I would recommend. But at the same time, having that certification, if you've already started it, you might as well finish it and get the certification, even if it is outdated by the time you get it. Like I got the OSCP in 2016, 17. I can't remember now. It feels like a lifetime ago. And it is now completely outdated. Like it's nothing the same. But people still say, "Oh, you got an OSCP? That's great. You can, do pen testing." And I mean, it's a completely different certification to what it used to be. So I would say yes, it's worthwhile completing the cert, just based on that. It's still something that people hit you up about. And the same goes actually for like years. And I can't remember. It was like 2006 or 7. Starting to show my age now. I did the CCNA. And I followed it up with the CCNP later because I really wanted to do networking. It was the passion, right? And at the time, the CCNA was good. That's probably what helped me land the jobs in networking, because everyone wanted people with CCNA so that they could become bigger, better Cisco partners. You can get a better partnership deal with the vendor. So they employed a whole bunch of people with CCNAs basically. And they have also definitely changed since 2006. So yeah, I mean, but people still say, "Oh, cool, you have a CCNA," and I know the place I work now, they asked me to put it on my email signature, because they want the people that I talk to know that I know about networking. So I mean, that's cool. I think they expire pretty quick. They used to expire in like 3 years, so it's well and truly expired, but for some reason it's still in my email signature. Anyway, that was a massive rant on the side of that question. There's a lot of questions coming in about programming languages. When this stream comes up, have a watch at about the 35-minute mark, I think it was, where we talked about programming languages. And it's been good to have you all in here. Thank you a lot, Caleb, for coming on the show. I am going to wrap it up here. We've hit the 1 hour mark. It's now 12 o'clock and I've got to be at work in 7 hours. So, I'm going to wrap it up. But thanks for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Dude, thanks for having me on. This has been awesome. Yeah. I got to get you on my channel as well sometime. The time zone difference is absolutely killer.
Absolutely, yeah, it is. It's so bad because every time I've just scheduled these all in at 11 p.m. because it's the only time that fits sort of with everyone. I mean, if the Aussies and Kiwis stay up late, it's good. It fits in really well with the Indian time zone. The European one it's around midday now. I think it's like 2 or 3 p.m. And then the US is somewhere in the early morning to about 9 o'clock now, I think, or 10 o'clock. Somewhere in between that range. So it's a time that everyone can be on if they want, but yeah, I mean, it gets published later anyway, so it's the only time that I can organize to talk with people. Someone just gave me a tip. What the hell? Oh, Conda. $5 from Conda. Thanks, man.
Hey-o.
Welcome and thank you. but I am going to wrap this up, so I'm very sorry. Yeah. I'm terribly. Yes, thanks, but yeah, that's the end. So anyway, thanks everyone for coming on and having a chat and asking questions and getting this conversation going. Hello to the ghost behind Caleb, and thank you,